human visual pathway. Before going on this, let's start with the basic structure of eye. Okay, so this is the structure of human eye. When light will enters into our eye, it will enter through the cornea, then to the lens, and then light will fall on the retina. We know retina have 10 layers. It consists of photoreceptor cells, bipolar cell, and ganglion cell. When light will enter into the eyeball onto the retina, then the photoreceptor cells will absorb light and generate a chemical signal. That chemical signal will then change into an electrical signal, and it will pass to the bipolar cells. The bipolar cells will further transfer that electrical signals to the ganglion cells, and the axons of the ganglion cells will combine together and they will form an optic nerve, which is second cranial nerve. And that optic nerve, carrying the information of the light, will leaves the eyeball through this sieve-like structure, which is lamina fibrosa. Optic nerve will leaves the eyeball. Now remember that this optic nerve have fibers from both nasal retina as well as from temporal retina. Suppose this is the optic nerve. It acts as like a wire, and it consists of mini wires, just like this optic nerve consists of fibers from nasal as well as temporal side of the retina. Okay. So this is your nasal retina, this is your temporal retina of left eye. And same on the right eye, this is the temporal retina. This is your temporal visual field, this is your temporal retina. This is your nasal visual field, this is your nasal retina. Left eye, and same on the right side. Okay, now important thing which you have to remember, because that's how it works. Your nasal retina will receives the information from your temporal visual field, and your temporal retina will receive the information from your nasal visual field. Your temporal retina will receive the information from your nasal visual field. Temporal retina, nasal visual field, nasal retina, temporal visual field. As the optic nerves proceeds, so it reached to a point which is optic chiasma. It is X-shaped point, and it is located at the base of the brain just below the hypothalamus, where optic nerves from both eye cross over. Suppose this is nose. It means both of these are nasal retinal fibers. Both of these are nasal retinal fibers. Point which you have to remember is that at optic chiasma, just only the nasal retinal fibers of both eye cross over, but the temporal retinal fibers stays on the same side of the body. As the nasal fibers cross over, they will no longer called as optic nerve, because the optic nerve has divided into two fibers. The fibers that will be from the nasal retina will now at optic chiasma will called as contralateral fibers, but on the other hand, the temporal retinal fibers that stayed on the same side of the body will be called as ipsilateral fiber. The ipsilateral and contralateral fibers from the optic tract will few of the fibers from the optic tract will leaves and enters into the pretectal nucleus. The reason is because it controls the pupillary reflexes, the amount of light entering into the eye. And from the optic tract, the remaining ipsilateral and contralateral fibers will move into the lateral geniculate body, and from lateral geniculate body, the visual information will further proceed into the form of optic radiations, and it will reach to the primary visual cortex, visual area in the occipital lobe of cerebrum. Okay. Let's do a very quick quiz. So the first question is that which fibers remain on the same side of the body in visual pathway, and the correct answer is B, fibers from the temporal hemiretina. And the next question is what happens to the visual information from the nasal hemiretina of each eye in the visual pathway? The correct answer is B, it crossovers to the opposite side of the brain. And yeah, that's all for this video.